It's time for the Bookie and the Bettor Show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy White, the Bettor.
Welcome on back to another episode of the Bookie and the Bettor. So glad to have you here with us today. It is the show for Friday, the last day of the month, May 31st. And I'm your host, once again, Robert Kowalski from the book of Baldini's, joined by my friend and my colleague, Randy White.
Hey, Rob. Great day. Great day.
It is. Things are getting warm. We're starting to see 80s on a regular basis here.
Look out.
Baseball has already kind of set itself in its ways. We kind of already have an idea for what direction some of these teams are going.
But we've got to bring up, again, Rob, Major League Baseball is on pace to set a modern era record of most blown leads after the fifth inning. Now, you have great starting pitching, but the middle relief and the closers are horrible.
Let's have a look at some of these starters today. Of course, these are lines that we've already established early this morning over at the book of Baldini's for Friday action. And obviously, look, some of these teams are already so set that we kind of already have set an idea for even from a starting pitcher. So we're talking the first 5 innings, you could already start to see which directions they're going in. But Colorado's Hudson's already 1-7 on the short year. Colorado is about a $3 dog at LA. Let's see some of these other trends. I know, Randy, you're a sucker always for a good streak.
I like a dog.
You like a good streak is what you like.
Yes.
So the White
Streaks.
Sox.
Yep.
So here, go ahead and try and analyze this. The White Sox have lost 8 in a row, and yet they're launching right-hander Fetty, who's 4-1 with a 2.80 ERA, a ratio of about 1.07. But they've lost 8 in a row. White Sox
5 to 8. Take them.
No.
If it gets to 10, go the other way.
The Milwaukee Brewers, who are the hosts, with Myers on the bump of 1-2 straight. So going to be interesting to see how all of these play themselves out. Always, obviously. I know, Randy, you like to take a look and see what happens after the fifth inning. But from booking it in the very first 5, and even for the game. So we're taking a look at that Milwaukee game. $1.60 right now is the current price. The Milwaukee Brewers, the favorite over the White Sox. That's later tonight at 5 o'clock. Some of these teams obviously have already decided that it's not going to be their year. With so many losses already, piled up, it's going to be very difficult. Obviously, the White Sox, they were dead before they even started. Colorado dead before they even started. We were talking about them possibly not even winning 60 games this year. On the more brighter side, obviously, Philly, 39-18 so far in the year. Dodgers doing what the Dodgers do, 36-22. Minnesota, 31-25 on the positive side from the Central. And then let's take a look at someone else. Of course, Cleveland, 37-19 already. Well on their way, making noise in the Central.
Well, and here's the interesting point. And this is how baseball has changed just in the last 4 weeks now. A lot of the teams were already saying they were going to sell. Get rid of a lot of players at the trade deadline. Now, those same teams, including the Giants, who, they had Conforto out there that they were going to get rid of him, dump him. Now they're saying we need to pick up a couple of players. So some of these teams, especially Cleveland, what do they do at the trade deadline? This year, I think you're going to see more kind of things going on, transactions with the trade deadline, than we have in the last couple, 3 years, because a lot of these if-so teams are going to be there now.
They're going to be there. They're mostly going to be there, right? Obviously, even if you're at if you're at 500, you're absolutely in the mix, and you're playing deep into September. So, listen,
right?
Some owners are perfectly happy just taking the money. Others actually, set up a team, to win a championship, and so we'll see how that plays out once again, in the late summertime this month.
Now, some of you teams, turn out the lights, the party's over. I just had to get that in.
I don't know. I there's nothing I could do to stop it. I literally wrote down. So this is terrible audio, but on video you could see I wrote down very pointed, specific topics so that wouldn't happen, because there's no lights to turn out. because it's not there for the topic. But he did it again. My apologies. I really do, one of these days, hope to slip through an episode with him present where that doesn't happen. In the meantime, the NBA has completed their conference titles. We now know that it's the Dallas Mavericks after their victory last night in Minnesota. Boston's been waiting. They're going to be waiting quite a bit longer because the first game of the NBA Finals is not until the 6th of June. However, we already have some numbers. Now, look, Dallas was a dog going into the Western Conference Finals. Minnesota was the favorite. About $1.65 is what we opened up their price at. Randy, we're looking at the Boston Celtics as about a $2.40 favorite to win the series. Game number 1, of course, is going to be in Boston. 6.5 point spread that we set up with. Let's go ahead and start off with your choice. And this is obviously going to dovetail into who you're going to choose probably to win this NBA title. How about the Player Award? How about the MVP this year? I'll go ahead and give you some prices. You let me know what you think is right because it's kind of one-sided here. Jason Tatum, -120. Luka Doncic, +210. Jaylen Brown, 6-1, followed by Kyrie Irving at 20-1. Derek White, 35. Kristaps Porzingis, who's going to be playing, he is 50-1. Drew Holiday, 55, and pretty much the field after that. Who's your pick for MVP?
Well, I do like Tatum. Again, where Boston's at. I mean, if Boston wins it, he's definitely MVP. But the sleeper there, and you look at the playoff run the Mavericks have had, and no question about Jokic. He's definitely done a great job. Kyrie Irving has carried. What did he have last night? 38.
He did very, very well. Right.
Again, he's carrying this team during the playoffs, and he's actually. I don't know if the attitude's there, but you don't see it as much publicly, and I really believe he could be a sleeper if Dallas can somehow sneak a couple of games first.
That's an if, and remember, this shows the Bookie and the Bettor. So I'm going to go shelve that for now, and I'm going to actually put you on the spot here. The series price, we're going to actually go correct score. This is the proposition where you're going to predict actually the result of how many games the champion wins. So let's go from the very top with some sweeps. Celtics win 4-0, +650. 650. The Mavericks to sweep is 22-1. Celtics win 4-1 is +310. Win 4-2 is +470. Win in 7, 4-3 for the Celtics is +410. And then the Mavericks to win 4-1, 11-1. Let's go with that first. Let's see which way you parse that out.
Well, and I have been looking at that. Again, I thought Minnesota might sneak one game through. They didn't. I like Boston in 6. Now, a couple months ago I said I really like the Western Conference over the Eastern Conference. But Boston has played extremely well. And again, they're on a high note. Now, to that point, Boston lives and dies with the three-point shot. So in the games that they've struggled, they've had a tough time, especially on the road. But I like them in 6.
Boston, obviously one of the best offenses we've seen in many, many years. No one's even talking about their defense, which has also been really, really stellar, and that's what they've been using, especially the last 2 rounds, to advance forward and give themselves a good long break to make their way into the finals. So, okay, let's position this in another way for you, Randy. Then, if you like them in 6, there's another prop that we're offering up here at Baldini's. Exact total number games. Irregardless of the winner, whether you think it's Boston or Dallas, if this series ends in 4, it's 5-1. In 5, +210. 6 is also +210. And 7 is +230. So, irregardless of whether Boston wins or Dallas wins,
those are good props.
You're getting a little bit more than 2-1 if you choose them to win that way.
And how does Baldini's compare on those props versus competition?
Pricing's always going to be the same. And if you're not, I'll know in a very, very quick fashion. Those that go ahead and see the odds, and they're obviously find their way into what's typically being offered, around town and, where you actually make your bets as well. So you said Boston in 6, which implies that they win the series 4-2, which also implies your answer for the next question, which is another prop. The Dallas-Boston series exact total number of games. That one, obviously, you could only win from 4 all the way up to 7. The other one that we did was a series spread. We actually set a spread on the series. We made Boston the favorite -1.5. So what does that mean? That they're obviously the favorite to win the championship, and they're favored to win by 1.5. Put it right on your number, right? So -1.5, about minus a nickel is actually what they're being offered at. It looks like you're laying that particular prop if you liked them in 6, which implies winning the series 4-2, Randy, yes?
Yeah. Yep. And again, Boston's depth right now, I think, is going to cause Dallas some problems. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I do believe that. And with Porzingis back, that's a big added boost for Boston. Now, how effective will he be the first couple games? That's to be seen. But having him back in the lineup, having a big back in the lineup is important. And what? He's 7-footer, right?
Yes, he is. And he shoots threes.
Yeah.
He does it all, actually. So
I think that's going to be a key thing.
So, I want to go and shift gears into some other events that we're booking, and some obviously coming up this weekend. Of course, the UFC 302 takes place at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. This coming
You're probably
Saturday
familiar
night.
with that place.
Been in that building many a time already.
Oh.
So the main event, Dustin Poirier, Islam Makhachev, really, really good fight that I'm looking forward to. Makhachev, a $7 favorite. The total 2.5 is on the round prop to the under -180. That's the main event. Obviously, we've got the entire card available. You can go ahead and take a look at that. And of course, at the Bookie Baldini's betting app, over at our counter, and obviously wherever else you get your information. But that's one event that I'm very much looking forward to. Many, many more fights throughout the summer, obviously. Not only is there more from a combat sport perspective, we're going to see the return of Conor McGregor later this month. Actually, it's May, so in June. Deontay Wilder's actually fighting tomorrow in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He's fighting against Zhilei Zhang. Zhang is a -160 favorite. Some of the other things that I wanted to look at, though,
Wait,
of
real
course.
quick, is McGregor going up in weight class, or is he staying where he's at?
No, this is a, as of yet, undetermined class.
Because he's put on some poundage, I heard.
So he's going to fight higher, and this is going to come at Pick'em right now. That fight, by the way, at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, June 29th. Conor McGregor, -110. So coin flip fight against Michael Chandler. Glad to see him back. I'm sure it's going to probably be bet far more than it should be just because of the name alone. Speaking of events that get bet far more than they should be, we've got a fight at AT&T Stadium. This is a 8-round, 2-minute round boxing sanctioned match. Heavyweights, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. We've got a number, Randy. We've got a number. And irregardless of what people have seen on TV and what wheelchairs are being pushed holding what prize fighters, Jake Paul is basically a $2 favorite, which means on the return, Mike Tyson 170. Very early, so much can happen between now and the words that will be spoken. Obviously the weigh-in is what I'm waiting for.
I heard this morning, again, breaking news, don't know any truth to it, that one of the doctors came out and said today, now, it doesn't say he's not fighting, but encouraged Mike Tyson. I guess he has a bleeding ulcer. Encourage him not to fight. Now, whether that's hype, I don't know, but that just came out this morning.
Okay, if he has a bleeding ulcer, what does that mean?
Well, I think from a standpoint, he's got a lot of acid reflux. Hopefully he doesn't swallow his mouthpiece. But I would think you also don't want to get punched in the abdomen too many times, right? I mean, if it's bleeding, can you cause a hemorrhage? I don't know. But that came from a doctor today, not Randy White.
If it came from a, quote, doctor, and if he has, quote, bleeding ulcers, can it heal in 8 weeks?
I believe it can.
I've got an awful lot more that we could talk about, obviously. By the way, we've taken more money, side total money line combined at Baldini's on the WNBA in its first 2 weeks than in its entirety that I've ever booked on WNBA in 5 years. Thank you to everyone doing this the right way. Obviously, TV helps an awful lot. Social media helps even more. And it's been really great. So obviously, look, irregardless of how well Caitlin Clark's going to perform, and she's going to be stellar, the Fever is just a really bad team right now. They're going to get better. And obviously, it's going to be fun to watch her play because she's clearly, outmatching so many of the people that are put up against her.
31 the other night, right?
It's getting to a point where, it looks like she's going to be able to put up any numbers that she wants. Of course, we want to see the Fever win. We want every team to win that you're following. But, right now, they're on the wrong side of the ledger most times than not. Beyond that, right, of course, all of the other events that we've been looking at, we really rarely have talked about soccer, but the UEFA Champions League final is going to be tomorrow afternoon. That's at noon. Got that up and running. Major League Soccer is still going to be going strong, even though Copa America and the European Cup is also going strong. So we've got all of those events coming as we move into June and July. And, of course, the Olympics. We'll probably talk far more about the Summer Olympics, which are going to be taking place in France in late July and August. But, Randy, early numbers that I'm seeing right now, the U.S., a very big favorite. Forget about the question of will they have the most medals. That's already a foregone conclusion. Right now it's really questioning, I'll probably go ahead and think maybe we set a total of 38.5 total gold medals. Well, that's the better prop right now.
These other countries are catching up with the U.S., but obviously track and field and swimming, and I would have to believe basketball. We are definitely still the dominant. Boxing this year is going to be very interesting for the U.S. side, but track and field, we've got some doozies for representing the U.S., and again, I think there's going to be some records shattered this year in Paris with the track and field.
So much so, I'm probably not even going to end up booking that because that's a foregone conclusion. Over on the men's and women's side for outrights for basketball in Paris, we could probably just look at the top four. It'd probably be easier. Canada and France, both 14-1 to win gold. Serbia, 8-1. And then USA, probably you could find a price anywhere between like minus 350 could probably be as high as minus $4. On the women's side, well, it's even worse. Spain 20-1, Australia 15-1, France 15-1. So they're playing for silver. USA minus 1,000 to win gold in the basketball for Summer Olympics.
Now, Caitlin's made the team, right? Already?
Yes, correct. Okay. Correct. So, yeah, it's really a question of, at least in basketball, it's probably going to be who's playing for silver. Tennis, obviously, I'd like to take a look at tennis. Over on the women's side, it's going to probably be, Iga Swiatek. She's the favorite in pretty much every single tournament, including as we get near the very end of the French Open. She's the favorite to win the French Open. She's probably going to be the favorite to win in Paris as well, over the likes of Sabalenka 5-1, Coco Gauff is 6-1, and Rybakina is 12-1 as well. Great performers. Just Swiatek right now is on a whole nother level. So expect her to win gold. If you want to back her, try and find a price somewhere around, maybe 125, maybe plus 150. That plus 150 is actually going to be very good value because I think she's going to be the favorite. Forget about, getting a plus. Randy, let's swing all the way on back. I know last week I broke some news. NCAA football, maybe NCAA basketball, or NCAA sports right now. Some more things have happened. What else have you read today?
Today, breaking news with a judge. The NCAA has announced that a young girl in college can transfer as many times as they want. They also are going back to 2019-2020 before the new transfer portal and the NIL stuff. They're going to give players an extra year of eligibility, which they had already ruled wasn't going to happen due to the COVID rule. Now they've changed their minds. So I brought this analogy up, and I heard it this morning, as a matter of fact. Rob, I'm going to ask you this question. You're drinking coffee, looking outside.
Okay.
It's in the morning. You don't have a fenced yard. A guy and his dog are walking by. They get on your front yard. The dog messes on your yard.
Okay.
Now, this analogy is, does Rob go out and confront the guy about picking it up, or do you let it go? Because in essence, that's what's going on with the NCAA. Do you continue to let this to go where other dogs are going to come in and mess on your yard because they see it and smell it? Or do you confront the guy and make him clean it up? Because that's what I think, and I know we didn't want to get into a big discussion with this, but why would you want to be, even with the money, an NCAA football coach when your talented players are going to be looking at the wires to see how much money they can get? It's not right. These are kids. It's not right.
Okay. So am I allowed to transfer ad infinitum?
Yeah.
I could transfer 3 games into the season. Yeah, I'm transferring. I'm going to go someplace else.
To my end, now, I don't know if you have to sit up for the remainder of that year, but you can transfer as many times throughout your college career.
That would be pretty significant.
I would think that includes that.
So I could just bus hop all season long if I wanted to.
Yeah, there's no right now. I didn't see a clause in there about sitting out X number of games. You can transfer as many times as you'd like. So that tells you right there, you're going to still have kids playing sports at 25 and 26, too. That's the other side of it.
Also sounds like if we're going to do the revenue sharing model like we discussed, maybe they're going to have to start writing clauses on a per game basis.
Again, I'm appalled. And for somebody that loves college sports like I do, and again, I mentioned last week, I bleed silver and blue with the University of Nevada. A mid-major school has no success from this point on. It's not going to happen.
That's right.
It's not going to happen.
No, of course not. No, you can forget about it.
What does that tell you about college sports? Now, again, it's all, like you said last week, it's all about money. So we may only have 5 conferences.
Yes, maybe less.
So a lot of colleges may want to go back to the FCS where there's a playoff and at least you're getting some revenue if you keep advancing. Because right now, X's and O's are not in the coach's room. You got to have, he's an administrator now. He's not on the field coach. You better have 5 people in your office that's helping you do this stuff.
What did Coach Hawkins from Colorado State say way back in the day? Go play intramurals, brother. Go play intramurals. Randy, give me a good Bill Walton story.
Well, a lot of people are probably not as old as I am. I loved UCLA with John Wooden and obviously Lou Alcindor back then and Bill Walton. But a lot of people don't realize, Bill had a speech impediment, really had a tough time communicating when he was younger. And then look where he ended up with doing the color on college basketball. And again, Bill called it like he's seen it. But, one of the things that I truly remember, and I know Elgin Baylor and some of these guys, they made comparisons. Bill Walton was the bank shot. If you remember, he loved the bank shot from 10, 12 feet. He loved to bank it. And he had that soft touch, and he was able to extend his shooting hand.
Yeah.
So, to me, he created what we know now as the true bank shot. And even a lot of coaches now don't press players to do it, but Bill did. But I remember him, and one of the great things, and I told my kids same thing, when Bill was coming up through and just getting started and basically with Portland, he made the quote, "You must expect great things of yourself before you can make them happen." And how true is that? Not just in sports, but in life.
Yep.
And then the other one that I really liked, other than the one he talks about his 39 surgeries and broken wrists and fused ankles, but he said everything's great, is the one about young men. And we're talking about college sports. He said, life is about growth. People are not perfect when they're 21 years of age. And how true is that? And we forget that sometimes. Even as parents, we forget that. So those two things kind of stand out for me. Obviously, his analogy of UCLA basketball against the other Pac-12 teams, it was kind of funny to watch. But I do. And in the one he just had this last week, when a doctor tells me I have 1 minute to live, I want to spend it at a basketball court or a basketball game. And to me, that says it all about Bill Walton.
Sure does. Champion. Well, hope you enjoyed our show today. If you liked what you heard, don't forget, got that little like button, a little subscribe button. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope we get to see you back again as we continue to traverse from spring into summer. Got an awful lot more to continue to cover. Another fun episode.
I'm serious. Major League Baseball right now, bet the first 5 innings. Because anything can happen the rest of the game.
For Randy Wyke, I'm Robert Kowalski. See you again next time.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.